Hey everyone, and welcome back to Beat the Sheet, an Xbox Game Pass challenge. The only podcast aiming to complete every single one of the now over 400 titles that have been made available on Xbox Game Pass since the start of 2020. As always, I'm your host Andy Wood, and I'm joined by my co-host Josh.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year to you too, Josh. So, on this week's show, we go bananas for My Friend Pedro, despite the fact that neither of us particularly likes the game. And we have a big roundup of everything confirmed to be coming to Game Pass in 2021. So, how are you doing this week, Josh?
I'm not doing too bad. It's good to be back after our little festive break. Hope everybody enjoyed the Sheeties last week. It was a very proud and honourable award show, which I'm sure everybody can agree with. But yeah, it's just been a fun festive break, playing a few games. We're going to go over what we've been up to, what the games we've been playing whilst we've had a bit of time off later on in the show. But how about yourself? Decent Christmas?
Yeah, not too bad, considering that the world's a bit of a hellscape at the moment. Still did all right. It was nice to get a bit of time to maybe play the odd game that wasn't Game Pass. Obviously, running this show, we're usually completely locked into just having to play, everything new that comes to Game Pass, everything that's leaving. So it was nice to have a little breather to maybe look at a couple of games that, aren't a part of the service. So it's been nice to do that. But now we're back. Now we're, back on the Game Pass train. So yeah, let's get right into that then. All right, so before we get into the main show this week, I just want to spend a couple of minutes really doing a quick recap of what this show is and what we're doing here, because obviously it's been a while since we started things up now, and it's not something we touch on too often maybe. So yeah, so as I said in the intro to the show, Beat the Sheet is a show where we are trying to beat every single game that comes to Game Pass since the start of 2020. So to do that, we have our big Google spreadsheet that we call the Sheet. And yeah, we just fill every single game in that. Whenever we finish a game, we pop a little Y in a checkbox, light it up green. It's all very satisfying. And that game's done. And our goal, again, is just to beat everything. So on our road to doing that, we obviously started this show, and now we basically just play every single game that comes to Game Pass. So, if you get a week, some weeks you get games like 8 or 9 games coming to the service, and yeah, we make sure to play all those so we can give some impressions on which games are worth your time, which ones you can, just skip and not bother with. And then also we have the kind of other end of the show, which is every so often games leave Game Pass, and you usually get a 2-week warning as to when they're going to leave. Now, we basically have to finish those games before they leave Game Pass. So sometimes that can be pretty brutal. If a really long RPG is leaving, for example, we just have to just knuckle down and get that done at the same time as, trying to be functioning adults and having jobs and lives. So it can be a bit tough at times. But yeah, so along with all the new additions, we also review all the games leaving the service and talk about them, as we do that.
That's pretty much it. Just to quickly add that this show has ruined my life. I used to have fun. I used to enjoy life. It's a good job that I can't go anywhere, because even if I could, I certainly couldn't anymore, because I now need to spend 25 hours playing Sword Art Online, despite the fact I haven't seen the anime. I have no interest in the anime, and I'm not even certain what a Sword Art Online actually is. But that's the show. We do it for you. We do it because we care, and because we're sick individuals.
Exactly. I think I was using a bit of a tagline on some of my posts recently that just said, here's to a 2021 full of us playing far too much Game Pass, so you don't have to. That's basically what we're doing. Just, yeah, we'll play it all, and you can just play the odd thing that's good. That's a nice deal, I think.
Absolutely. Okay, so at this point in the show, we would usually be rounding up the new additions to the service, but this being the very start of 2021, Game Pass is still taking a bit of a holiday, and there are no new additions. So we get a break this week. We don't need to rush through any games that should come into the service, but usually around this time of the show, this is when it'd be happening. But yeah, this week we've got a week off. I will never complain about that.
Yeah, it's sometimes nice to have a break, especially in December when there was about 10 games a week getting added. It's I'm not going to be too angry about them being done this week.
But I expect a massive batch to be announced, probably as early as Tuesday. So yeah, it won't be long before we're back on the train.
Almost certainly.
Okay, so that does mean, though, that we do have some leaving soon titles. It was a close one, Finn. We only found out this morning at time of recording. And we're still not certain if it's the full lineup. It more than likely will be. And we expect them to be leaving on the 15th of January, though that could shift by a day or two, dependent on Microsoft. They're still not officially confirmed it. But 3 games are set to leave that we do know of. And these are My Friend Pedro, the aforementioned Sword Art Online Fatal Bullets, and Tekken 7. So what did you make of this little batch? There's only 3, which is always appreciated. In fact, I think you've beat them all, so this is even better for you.
Yep, I have beaten all these games. I am feeling pretty smug about it. It has to be said. Yeah, this is. I mean, it's not a bad list, even if you haven't beat them. I would say. I mean, My Friend Pedro is a pretty short game. Tekken 7, a completion for us is just beating the story mode, and fighting game story modes are pretty short as well. So the only tough one here is Sword Art Online, which is about a 25-hour completion. So it's not a bad list for people who haven't played them, but I am also very glad that I already have. How about you?
Yeah, I can't say I'm looking forward to Sword Art Online. I always saw the online part and just assumed this was an MMORPG, and so we have a thing called the nope on the sheet where if a game isn't completable, we can't complete it. You can't complete a Morkredd. It takes 700 hours of your life.
Yeah.
So I figured this was going to be that. And it's not. It's a single player experience with a very defined endpoint. So I've all of a sudden realized I have to play this, and I'm a little bit gutted about that. But I'll be making a start from tomorrow, I suppose. And I live in hope. I have completed Pedro and Tekken, so there was at least a little bit of respite for me there.
Yeah, that's fair. The Sword Art Online trap is it's tricky because, as you said, you see the word online and you think this is an online RPG, but it's like a bit of an Inception deal where it's a game about people playing an online RPG, but it's a single player game of you playing the RPG. It's a mess, but yeah. So enjoy that anyway.
I will do, but that means for this week, we will give our views on Pedro and Tekken since we have both already beat them. And then next week, we can check in with me after I've been just destroyed by trying to squeeze in Sword Art Online into less than 5 or 6 days. And we'll give you our full thoughts on that then. So let's roll into the first review, which is My Friend Pedro, a side-scrolling arcade shooter, really, on a 2D plane from Devolver Digital, everybody's favorite indie publisher. What did you make of this kind of mad, frenzied little shooter?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the most Devolver-y digital games that I've ever seen. It's just pure Devolver. It's just wacky nonsense. It feels like just a blending of just a ton of different gameplay styles. You know, it's a side-scrolling shooting game, but it's also kind of like a high-score chasing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater-ish combo-based game. It's got a bunch of like slow-mo. It's got some very complicated and cumbersome controls because they kind of want to give you freedom to do a lot of different stuff. Like you can press a button that lets you control each gun with a different analog stick, so you can aim in different directions and stuff like that. It's got a lot going on. I just find it. I didn't think it really delivered on what it was aiming for, especially in the back half of the game.
Yeah, this is a weird one for me because there's a lot about the setup of this game which I like. You mentioned it's very Devolver. It is very Devolver. The entire thing focuses around an unnamed protagonist who wakes up with memory issues, and a talking banana is telling him he needs to go kill some people. That's basically, at this point, the setup to every Devolver game. Just replace the banana with whichever mythic objects you want. But it's just a way to set you on these paths to start killing a load of people in the most acrobatic and crazy way possible. And at its best, because My Friend Pedro uses a slow-mo function for you to, pick off shots from all sorts of directions. You twirl like a ballerina in the air, just spraying bullets. It's very satisfying when it's at its best. And that part of the game is really, really fun. But it's, as you mentioned, the additional elements that they almost feel they had to shoehorn in, these more platformy elements, high score elements, which perhaps they didn't commit to enough, where the game starts to fall down for me. I don't know if you kind of found a similar thing, particularly with the platforming.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I think early levels of this game, you kind of just getting to grips with the controls, you're figuring out the combo system, and you can really see the potential there. You kind of almost think, right, once I get these controls nailed down, this is going to be like such a cool, stylish game. I'm going to be able to string together these awesome combos. But the issue is that as you get into the second half of this game, and it's only about a 4-hour game as well. So we're talking, once you're about 2 hours in, you're used to the controls and you can do all the stylish kills, but then the game just slows itself down with some really quite sluggish platforming, and there's a ton of just pulling levers. I don't even want to call them puzzles. I think the game wants you to, but they're not puzzles. You're just pulling levers to make different platforms move around, and that completely just grinds that whole fun combo style gameplay to a halt. And yeah, I just think it just lost its way there, really.
Yeah, I kind of have a similar view to you on that one. It's the desire for the game to break up its own flow, which I find so strange because it is at its best when you are just popping off shots left, right, and center to take people out. The minute you slow down the game, it kind of kills your combo run. So it means that actually chasing high scores means that you have to play it on a very high difficulty to be able to get the multipliers high enough for you to actually get a decent score. And you also absolutely can't die. There's no way around that. And obviously, as you're learning levels and you have to play on a high difficulty, there's going to be some frustration there. So it kind of hamstrings its own main appeal to me, which would be to be chasing down, trying to get those S ranks at the end of each level. Most of the time, you find yourself around a C or a D, and you didn't really do much wrong. It's just the way that the game breaks up pace. You may not have even died, but the way that the game breaks it up, you just can't get those scores up unless it's on the super high difficulty. Kind of frustrating. Don't quite understand why they did that.
Yeah, completely agree with that. And I also had a bit of an issue with this game where I found that even though as we said, it's this really wacky kind of off the wall game. There's a talking banana telling you to do all this evil stuff. It's got a lot of style in its gunplay and its gameplay. But the environments you go to in this game are just very generic. There's nothing that stands out about any of the areas you go to. This is a game where you're going to go to, some generic looking streets. You'll go to a sewer because of course you will. It's just everything you see in every other game. And I just think it's completely at odds with the sort of style and attitude that the game seems like it's going to have when you go into it.
Yeah, it doesn't help that when it does the sewer level, it even makes a joke about the fact that it's a sewer level, but that doesn't change the fact it's a sewer level.
Yeah.
Drawing attention to your boring game design doesn't excuse it. I mean, it shows at least a sense of awareness, but
sure.
Beyond that, it is kind of a bit of a slog getting through these places. You mentioned that the controllable character is kind of sluggish. He's really heavy to control. It's weird. Until you play it, you don't really realize just how dense and heavy this guy is to move around. That helps when it comes to the slow-mo because it means that you're not really ever moving too quickly. So you can actually jump in and out of it much easier than if you was going too fast. But at the same time, it does make actual platforming and navigation a bit of a slog. There's times when I really wished I could just speed this guy up a bit, give him a bit of urgency. I don't know, feed him a banana to pick his speed up or something because he just wasn't doing anything. And the whole weirdness about the banana, although it's a funny little idea that it's a psychopathic talking banana, cool, that's funny, but they don't do a lot with it. There's a few tricky banana moments which are kind of fun towards the end of the game in particular, which are enjoyable. But most of the time, the game just ignores it and just kind of plays it very matter of fact, which works in some ways, but also can make it quite bland for large periods of what is a very short runtime. So it's a real mixed bag of a game where there's a lot of things I like about it. I do think the actual shooting is pretty satisfying. There's a lot of good weapons. When you hit the slow-mo moments, it plays quite well. It just falls down in terms of story and perhaps a little bit of repetition and just, its own hurdles it makes for itself, which I don't really think it needed to make.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think they touched on clearly quite a unique and fun idea here. The core, I imagine the initial meeting for this game where they mapped this out, there was probably, a lot of optimism, and there should have been, because it's a clever idea. It's fun. It's, like I said, the controls are quite cumbersome to get used to, but it does give you a lot of control over how you can, pull these combos together and defeat the enemies. And, there's even more elements that we haven't went into. Like, you can throw a frying pan in the air and then shoot bullets at it and they'll all hit the targets perfectly. And it's all great. It's all really cool. And it just feels like they got a bit lost along the way, really, which is a bit of a shame. So yeah, I didn't mind playing this, but it's not something I'd massively recommend. I don't think people need to rush to race through this in the next 2 weeks, even though it is only 4 hours long. I'd say maybe do the first couple of levels, and if you feel particularly gripped by it, then by all means continue until you lose interest. But yeah, I didn't get much joy out of this after I did the first hour or so.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same. I think if you're a big fan of Devolver Digital, and I certainly am, I've played a lot of their games. This is fun. You'll feel a good, healthy sense of familiarity. It's quite, normal and reassuring in the, repetitiveness of it in that world. Even the story beats are really similar to most Devolver games. But ultimately, I kind of find it hard to recommend when there's better games like Katana Zero on the service, which you could give a go, another Devolver game. If you played Hotline Miami, you're not going to like this anywhere near as much as that game. Even if you played Ape Out, I'd much rather play Ape Out than this game, which is really fun. Not on the service, unfortunately, but I'm sure it'll turn up eventually. It's just one of those, it's a lesser work in the Devolver canon. And if you've loved this work, you may get something out of it. But if it's a starting point for you, I'd probably say to skip it and perhaps wait for something better to come along.
Yeah, I agree with that over here, definitely. So yeah, I ended up giving this a 5 out of 10 in the end. I just think it's just bang average, frankly. There's definitely worse ways to spend your time, but there's also, as you said, a ton of Devolver games even that are better than this.
Absolutely. I give this a 6. I think it's slightly better than a 5, but yeah, it's a lesser work in their canon, and I think there's better titles to afford your time in these next couple of weeks. Okay, moving on to our second game of the week. That is Tekken 7. The 7th, at least, numbered title in the very long-running Tekken series dates all the way back to the PlayStation 1, I believe was the first game anyway in that series. It must have been.
Yeah.
Tekken all the way back. Famous 3D fighter. One of the, pioneers of that style. But a series I've never really paid much attention to. I was never a Tekken guy growing up. I didn't massively get into the series. I didn't play a lot of it on my PlayStation 1 or 2. So this is kind of a reintroduction to the series for me in many ways, because I've not touched it for a long, long time. But what did you make of this most recent version of the Tekken franchise?
Yeah, so I was into Tekken for a while back in the PS1 era. It was mainly Tekken 3 that got me into it, because Tekken 3 was just this wacky, crazy fighting game where they just had a ton of really stupid game modes. Like you had your arcade mode and your time attack as usual, but then there was like beach volleyball in Tekken 3 where you had to like punch the ball over the net. There was basically a side-scrolling Streets of Rage type game in there where you just had to like go along and just beat up, generic rubbish enemies to get to a big boss guy at the end. Like they packed that thing full of so much stupid stuff, and it probably all wasn't the best quality, but when you're about 8 years old, that's all great. It's just good fun. So yeah, I've definitely been into Tekken for quite a while. I fell off it for quite a lot of years, pretty much from Tekken 3 right up until now. Really, I played the odd Tekken game on the I think I played some of the PS2 ones, but yeah, it's been a while for me. And yeah, this felt quite familiar going into it, which I think is always good for a fighting game. You want to be able to bring back some of that muscle memory you've had back in the day, but obviously there'll be a lot of new moves and new styles you can do now as well. And yeah, I had quite a lot of fun playing it. I think it's a good fighting game. The moves are quite free flowing. I spoke on the episode 2 weeks ago when we were reviewing Mortal Kombat X that I struggle with how rigid combat feels in Mortal Kombat, and Tekken doesn't have that. The moves all feel like they float together quite nicely in this. It's quite easy for any player to string a combo together, so it's quite beginner friendly. And at the same time, though, I do think that one thing Tekken does really well is there's clear characters that are like super beginner friendly, and then there's some that you need to spend more time with to really get the best out of them. And I think that's quite good. Like I remember back in Tekken 3 I used to play as I think it's Harang, who's like just this kicky guy, and you just tap the kick buttons and he'll just do like an 8 kick combo and it's super easy. Whereas there's other characters who are super powerful, but if you don't know the moves, you're not going to be able to get much going with them. And there's like King, who's a wrestler with a tiger mask. Like you need to know all of his kind of throw combos to get the best out of him. So I like that. I like how there's a lot of different variants for different skill levels. And yeah, Tekken is just still a solid fighter as it has been for decades now. So I had quite a bit of fun with this.
I certainly don't think this is a bad time. Tekken is always going to suffer in comparison to me because my favorite fighting game is the Soul Calibur series. I adore that series, of which Soul Calibur 6 is available on Game Pass. So it's even more of a direct comparison there. And this Tekken remains not as good as Soul Calibur. It's just not as much fun. They're both 3D fighters. They're kind of trying to achieve they're very similar things, should I say. But I just find Tekken to be a little bit heavier, a little bit more sluggish than Soul Calibur is. And I kind of can never massively get into this franchise. It's probably not helped by the fact that the story mode we play is an in-depth kind of look at all the history of these characters flying in together. And I had no clue who any of these people were. And it's just dense with lore. It's just chock full of stuff. People who are sons and daughters, I had no idea who these people. They're all just flying in and all. They seem to hate each other. I don't really know why. There's a big tournament that seems to keep happening for some reason, despite the fact bad things always happen at this tournament.
That's my favorite trope of like fighting game stories. Like Dead or Alive does this as well. Like, you know, like despite the fact there's all these people who have like really big serious issues and there's like wars happening, they always find some reason to like, oh, but now we're all at the tournament again. It's just great. I love how they somehow managed to bring that back. But yeah, I agree with you. I mean, this game is full of lore. I mean, I did a bit of reading around some of the story stuff I was doing, not a ton, but like, and there's like scenes from this game that are technically from like Tekken 4 or Tekken 3, but you sort of have a fight in the story mode after that event happened in those older games and things. And I'm sure for longtime fans, that's awesome. You know, that's really cool. Like you probably want those callbacks, but for someone jumping in a bit casually, it's the story mode here really is just do a couple of fights, watch a cutscene you won't understand, and then do a couple more fights really. So, you know, we're obviously not the target audience for it, but for what it is, it's fine. It's pretty standard fighting game story mode fare really.
Yeah, I mean, to give them the due, the cinematics are really well produced. It's really well made. This probably feels like a Tekken movie if you're into this whole thing. It's all there. That entire chapters sometimes have no fights in them. It's just a big video, which I was okay with because I didn't care. I just wanted to beat this game and move on. I'm like, yeah, let's just keep watching the video, whatever, put it on. Yeah. But I like the fact that you jump from character to character, so you get the opportunity to pick up different moves and get a feel for the kind of character you might like. That your story's always jumping around. It kind of comes to a big, massive head. It's kind of funny in parts. You'll like some characters, you'll hate others. It's all there. It's all perfectly fine. It took about 3 hours to complete, which I love. Most of which,
fan of that.
A solid 60 minutes is pretty much just video. So it's all pretty good for me. But yeah, this is a hard one for me to rate because Tekken is just absolutely not my franchise. It's just a lesser Soul Calibur, of which, as I've mentioned, is on the franchise. It's on the service. It's on Game Pass. I will mention, though, that with Tekken leaving this week and Mortal Kombat 2 weeks prior, we're slowly losing quite a lot of good fighting games from Game Pass.
Yeah.
Because at one point, they seemed to have everybody. And now they slowly seem to be disappearing, which is a real shame because Game Pass was a fighting game lover's paradise just 6 months ago. And now they seem to be dwindling back and back, which... hopefully that'll be rectified pretty soon.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, you know, there's a good chance that we might see the Mortal Kombat 11 join soon because it was Mortal Kombat X that left. So I could see that being a bit of a refresh. You know, maybe they're just going to put the newest one in the service soon, which would be nice. But yeah, again, like you said, you know, at least Soul Calibur's still in the service because I agree with you. I think Soul Calibur, out of those 3 games, I would have chose to play Soul Calibur anyway over Tekken and Mortal Kombat. So the best one for me is still in the service. So by all means, play that one. You know, if you do want to check out Tekken for a bit before it leaves, as we said, you know, if you're the kind of person who likes completing a game and feeling, you know, satisfied and content with that, then this is a few hours to beat it. You can have you get to play quite a few of the kind of main iconic characters throughout that story mode. You'll have no idea what's happening, but it's fine. Yeah, you know, it's fine. It's a fun little playthrough. I mean, I gave this a 7 out of 10. I do think it's a very good fighting game. I just think that Soul Calibur is even better.
Yeah, I gave this a 6. I don't have any real problems with it. I think it's perfectly fun, but the minute I was finished with it, I didn't have any desire to hop into the training mode and really knuckle down and try to learn Tekken. I still didn't have that desire to dig deep into the game, and so there's still something missing there. There's still that disconnect. But if you're a fan of this series, I think this is billed as a return to form, and I can't find too much wrong with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Tekken 7's done pretty well in the kind of fighting game community, you know, like people who really take the fighting game seriously do like this game. So, you know, if you're someone who really wants to commit to a fighting game, then it might well be worth a go. And, you know, maybe at that point you just buy it though. But yeah, you know, it's a good time.
Okay, so since we've had a festive break, since we've been playing a load of games, why don't we talk about a few of them in our very oft returning feature? What are we playing this week? Usually this crops up when we don't have anything to play. That is so rare in Game Pass that this doesn't happen very often. So this is a nice chance just to drop in and talk about a few games which maybe we'd not get to mention normally, and a few games even away from Game Pass. We own all the major consoles because we're total nerds. So there's no console war bias here. We play everything. We love everything. Yep. So yeah, Andy, why don't you kick us off and tell us a few of the Game Pass games first, which you've given a go over this festive period?
Will do, yeah. So I've kind of, my playing of games over the Christmas period's been split into a few categories, really. I've started making a dent in some of these huge series that are on Game Pass, because there's a couple of series on Game Pass now where there's about 400 hours of game to beat. So I thought, gotta start with them soon or else I'm going to be completely screwed. And then also, I thought, also, let's pick up an old piece of random Game Pass trash to beat for fun. And then, as you said, there's a few games outside of Game Pass we played as well. But yeah, let's roll into this with some of these huge series I've been trying to chip away at then. So I have spent quite a bit of time in the last couple of weeks playing Yakuza 0, which is the first game in the Yakuza series, or at least it's a prequel to the original first game. You know, we're at this point at a time when there's 3 of these games in Game Pass, and there's about to be 3, 4, and 5 joining Game Pass in January, and 6 in March, I believe. So there's just going to be tons of this to play. There's 7 games to get through there, and I thought, right, really need to start kicking on with this now. So yeah, put some time into Yakuza 0, and I mean, no surprise to anyone, it is fantastic. It's just such a fun game. I love the city it's set in. It's one of the first kind of open world games I've played where the fact that it's small and compact is by far its biggest strength. Like, I love that this game is just set in this small space, but you learn that space so well, and you kind of, there's still a lot to do. There's loads of shops, there's loads of games to play. You go and sing at the karaoke, you go and play Sega arcade games at an arcade. Like, it's full of cool stuff to do, and it probably has the best side content that I've seen in any of these kinds of games as well. And as far as I'm aware, that carries on through the whole series. Like, you just walk around and you'll see someone that seems a bit weird or out of place, and you'll go and talk to them, and you'll just go on the most nonsense little adventure. Like, just anything will happen. Like, you'll meet a man who wants to cross a bridge, but he's wearing a jacket that keeps pissing everyone off. So you have to defend him because his live stream is to strut across this bridge wearing a jacket that he really likes. Or you'll meet a man he's a living statue, and that's what he does. He just stands as a statue on a bridge, and then he gets to a point where some children are looking at him, and he really needs the toilet, but he doesn't want to scare the kids. So you have to distract the kids so that he can run off and go to the toilet, because he doesn't want to horrify them for life by moving now because they're looking at him. And it's just stuff like, it's full of stuff like that. There's ones where you pretend to be a movie producer. There's one where you're giving some man advice on how they should tax the country. Like, where did that come from? It's just full of absolute just mad kind of, I don't even know how you would think of these things for side quests, but they all just make me smile and make me laugh. And to the point where I've really not made it very far through the main story, because I'm just having too much fun doing stupid side stuff. Like, you know, if I was going purely for the beat the sheet goal here, I would just be mainlining this story, but you just can't. It's too fun to do the other stuff.
No, it's Yakuza 0, and I don't know if it's a controversial opinion, but I'll say that it's the best open world game of all time. I don't think there's a better one. I think this is better than Breath of the Wild in terms of creating an enjoyable open world, which is just dense and packed full of enjoyable things to do, and is never at any point a chore to get around. Despite the fact you'll run from the top to the bottom of this city thousands of times, and you'll never get tired of it. I've done it even more because I've played 4 of these games. So I've run to the top to the bottom of Kamurocho about 1 million times, and I still never tire of it. I just know it now. I know the streets. Yakuza 0 is a delight of a game. And yeah, get it beat, just get it finished. Anybody listening to this, just start playing that game. It's one of the best games of the last console generation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do think as well there's a bit of a risk here that Yakuza 0 might leave in the next couple of months because it was added early in 2020. Now, a part of me thinks they might keep it in because it would be weird for them to add like 3, 4, 5, and 6 and then get rid of 0, 1, and 2. You know, I feel like there might be more of a complete deal to keep that whole series in Game Pass. So
Yeah.
you might be okay, but it's not worth risking it for a game this good. You're better off just putting some time into it now because it's really, really great. But yeah, so moving on then, the other series that I have started chipping away at because we desperately need to is Kingdom Hearts. So yeah, we actually had an award for this on last week's show of we were saying that we're terrified of Kingdom Hearts 3 leaving Game Pass because we don't want to play that before the old games, but there's also about 14 old games to play. So yeah, I've been trying to put some time into this. I've beaten the original Kingdom Hearts now. I did that a few months ago, and I'm now playing Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, which it's a weird one because it was actually a Game Boy Advance card-based battle game, but they basically just re-released it on PS2, but just used all of the assets from the first Kingdom Hearts. So yeah, it's a tricky one. I kind of wish I was just playing the Game Boy Advance one, to be honest. Like, because then at least it's it's something a bit novel and different. Like to go from plugging 25 hours into the original Kingdom Hearts to then coming into this game, which looks exactly the same, except it has different mechanics. Like I said, there's a card battling system, and you kind of go through these different rooms and you use cards to unlock the doors, and whichever cards you use govern what that room's going to be. So like, if you desperately need to heal up and save, you can use a card on the door that makes the next room a saving room, or you can use a card that makes like more healing items appear in that room or something. So, it's a different style of gameplay for sure, but I'm a bit tired of it already after just a few hours because I've only just played Kingdom Hearts 1 and it does really look identical. So, gonna keep plugging away at it. I mean, it's only game 2 of God, it must be at least about 12 Kingdom Hearts games we have to play. I mean, that Kingdom Hearts 1.5 plus 2.5 Magic Final Mix Ultra Pack or whatever it's called, that has so many games in it. And then there's Kingdom Hearts 2.8 Final Chapter Remix prologue. There's that as well. It's absolutely ludicrous how much of this series there is. So yeah, I'm enjoying it all overall. I do think the original Kingdom Hearts, for anyone who's never played it, is worth a look, but just be very prepared for the fact that this is a PS2 era game. You know, they've sharpened it up a bit to look somewhat modern, but it's still, all the mechanics there are the mechanics of an old PS2 game. So if you can't stomach that, then you're probably better off just jumping in at Kingdom Hearts 2 or maybe even just Kingdom Hearts 3 because it is very much an old game.
Yeah, I kind of wish they made Chain of Memories just those HD cinematics they did for most of the DS and 3DS ones. Because I can't be bothered with card battling nonsense. I mean, I can't be bothered with Kingdom Hearts, despite the fact I don't even dislike the game. I just can't be bothered to play them all. But
there's just so much of it.
It's just endless. I just bought that just so I could at least take my own time with it. So it's just they've had that level of fear for me.
But yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But anyway, so I'll roll into my one last Game Pass game, and then I guess we'll hit your Game Pass stuff before we talk about a couple of non-Game Pass games. So my last Game Pass game that I've been playing over the last few weeks is basically, I was looking down the EA Play list, and I noticed that since EA Play got added to Game Pass back in was it November? It was November, wasn't it? There's a ton of shooting games in there, like FPS games that I never got around to playing, and I quite like an FPS, but I've played maybe 2 of the Battlefields, and there's about 6 of them. I played the first 2 Crysis games, but never got around to the third one. So, there's some options for, some decent FPS times available to me in there. So I chose to play original Xbox game Black from 2005.
Of course you did. Yeah,
why wouldn't you? That was the obvious choice here, was to play Black. So yeah, Black it's a very weird game to go back to because this is a game that kind of came out with the promise of like pushing that generation of consoles to its limit. This is like, we're talking original Xbox PS2 here. This is like, a very old generation now. And they were like, this is going to be the pinnacle of how games can look and feel on those consoles. Now, the problem is that in trying to do that, they released this like 4 months after the Xbox 360 came out. So, I mean, that's like, I think it came out a couple of weeks before Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion came out, which obviously is this massive open world that looks stunning by its, in its time, it looked stunning. And then like, a couple of weeks earlier, you've got Black on original Xbox. And it's just an ancient game. It's really ancient. You can tell it takes itself really seriously as well. Like this thing opens up with a big, like bombastic score. I think it's got like credits to a symphonic orchestra in the title, and it's got this like epic pounding like war music. It's got these live action cutscenes. So like they got a couple of actors to be in this room, like your character's getting interrogated by someone else about his role in a mission, and they cut to these videos in between the levels. And it's all trash. Like, don't get too invested in it. It's just an awful story. But yeah, in between those, you just jump into like eight single player missions that are the most dated, boring missions that you could see in a game. Like these are literally this is just corridor shooting. That's all you're gonna do here. Just 8 missions of corridor shooting action. There's the odd bit that opens up a tiny bit, but only like, imagine it's still a corridor, but it's like a little open field area in between the 2 corridors. It's nothing elaborate. And yeah, it's just real old. I mean, I've did this to myself, so I don't know who I'm blaming here because, I could have played many more modern games, but I struggled with this. One thing that really jabbed away at me in this game, and it's such a petty thing, is that when you shoot a gun, every bullet from the gun sounds exactly the same. So like there's no variation in the sound. And it's like it just jabs away at your ears. It just hurts. Like you're shooting a machine gun and just 60 identical sounding shots. Like there's no variation, there's no little changes, and that drove me crazy. I was playing this game on 1 volume on my TV. I set my TV to 1 because the guns were winding me up. It also pretends it has stealth in the weirdest way. Like it gives you a silencer in a few missions, and you might get someone who like is on your comms and they advise you to be sneaky, like, oh, you should try and use stealth to get through this area. Yeah, stealth doesn't exist. There's no stealth. Like you can sneak up to someone, shoot him in the head, and with your silenced gun, and everyone else will just know you're there. It doesn't work. It just like that's it. Like, and most as well, because the enemies in this game are super bullet spongy. Like a lot of the enemies will take 10 shots to kill, or if they've got armor on, you'll use an entire clip of a machine gun to kill them. So like some of them, you've got your silencer on, but it still takes like 4 headshots to kill them. So you shoot them with the first headshot, and then everyone just knows you're there because they haven't died. And it just doesn't work. It just really doesn't work. So yeah, as you'd expect, there's not a ton of reasons to go back to Black unless you're just us and you're trying to beat all of Game Pass. And I doubt there's many people doing a challenge as stupid as us. So not got a ton of reasons to recommend this one. I mean, I feel like it even feels old for 2005. Like, this, I mean, you look like the original Halo came out 4 years before this game, and that's got open world, like open-ended mission design. Like I don't even want to use its age as too much of an excuse, because there was much better games that are older than this. I mean, Christ, even like Perfect Dark on the N64 had vastly better mission design than Black. So I don't know, maybe they just got too bogged down trying to make it like really pretty for its time, because it does look nice. I mean, it's been upscaled on the Xbox Series consoles, but it doesn't look as old as it is. So they obviously achieved something quite good in that place, but obviously you don't go back to games that are 16 years old to look at the graphics. So that point's kind of dead now, sadly. So yeah, I came out of Black giving this a 4 out of 10 on the sheet. I just don't think it's worth anyone playing except for us, because we're stupid.
Oh man, I'm good. I was expecting great things. I don't know why. I mean, it's a Criterion game, so I was kind of hopeful. Yeah. Like, it's a bit weird for them to do a shooter. I think this might be the reason they only really did Black, and then it was straight to Need for Speed to be buried away for the rest of their lives. But yeah, no, I enjoyed your little Amy Winehouse Back to Black reference in there as well. Very good. I don't think you actually intended to do it. I know you, so I'm pretty certain you had no intention of that.
Oh God, no intention at all, of course.
But it was in there, so God bless it, nonetheless. All right, let's talk about a couple of the Game Pass games I played this past couple of weeks. I didn't play too many because I needed a break from the painful monotony of chalking off these games I don't particularly want to play. So to give myself that break, I played Sea of Solitude, a game I didn't want to play anyway, for some unbeknownst reason, because I knew it was short. So I booted it up. I thought I'd give this a go. I also saw that the expanded edition was announced at like the Game Awards. I think the Game Awards announced an expanded edition of Sea of Solitude, and I thought, Christ, if they put that in Game Pass, I'll have to play that. So let's just get it beat while it's short. That's my other thing.
I love the tactics. That's great.
It's like, I beat it now. I don't need to play your remixed version. It's beat. Yeah, Sea of Solitude is not great. It's not a particularly fun game. It's kind of... It has all the tenets of the walkie-talkie in that, you're just exploring this little place and you're having a load of dialogue, basically with yourself, but occasionally with other people. But it's ultimately trying to be a puzzle game, and it's not a particularly exciting one. I mean, the main puzzle in this game is jump in the water when Big Fin isn't in water. That's essentially it. Okay. That's all that it really comes down to. Other than that, you just fire a flow and you follow it for 3 hours, whilst your character, who has the most painful habit of just endlessly narrating everything that is happening. Do you know when games do this a lot, where you enter a room and you go, look at this big room. This is a really big room. And it's like, I can tell it's a big room because I can see it. I'm not blind. It's not a book. You don't need to narrate it. It's literally, I can see it's a big room. You don't need to tell me.
Yeah.
And she just doesn't stop. She'll just never stop saying everything. She doesn't seem to pick up on things that I picked up on 2 hours ago. It's like, who is this giant monster? It's a metaphor for your dad, love. We all know it's a metaphor for your dad because they're bickering all the time. It's clearly your mum and dad. Come on now, catch up. And then 2 hours later, she catches up and it's like, well, yes, thank you. I'm glad we're there now. Yeah. It's the worst kind of emotional, I want to get this off my chest game. Mm. When somebody's like, this is a story about grief. It opens up with a warning that it's not to be taken as clinical advice. It's like, whatever poor bastard has taken Sea of Solitude as clinical advice probably needs different clinical advice before they even get the clinical advice they actually need, because they are clearly snooker loopy. That is just madness that you take this as anything beyond.
Maybe there's just like a team of psychiatrists that like are just in ear's pocket. There's like, right, recommend Sea of Solitude to all your patients.
It definitely doesn't work as therapy. It's basically just 5 or 6 really whiny characters who just don't stop moaning. I don't know if I meant to like the lead character, but she's a total asshole. At one point, it's basically split into 3 stories. It's a story about her little brother, her mum and dad, and her boyfriend. And the little brother, just to give mild spoilers, has been horrifically bullied. And you have these little flashbacks where he tries to tell you this, and you keep talking about a dog photo that your boyfriend told you, just sent you. And you're like, okay, she ignored him once, I get that. And then she proceeds to spend the rest of the mission going, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you? No, he did tell you, look. He's told you 7 times. At this point, you just keep laying in more times, so he's trying to do it. At one point, he's just gone, I'm going to kill myself. And she's like, that's nice. And she's still ignored him. Like, what is going on? It's like, I don't feel sorry for you. You're an asshole. What's wrong with you? It's like that. It's not particularly enjoyable. To put it a bit of still, Call of the Sea came out just a month ago, and it's a much more enjoyable version of this kind of game, where it is telling a nice, heartfelt story. Sea of Solitude is trying way too hard, and I'm not surprised it has a remixed version coming. And I remember it clearly at the Game Awards. It says that they rewrote most of the script. Well, the game needed rewriting almost from top to bottom. So I'm not surprised it needs writing again, because it's kind of awful. So, yeah, I wouldn't particularly recommend it. I think I gave this a 4. I didn't particularly enjoy it. It's not fantastic, but it is only 3 hours long.
Yeah,
so
that's a shame. I mean, I remember seeing this trailer for the first time, and they, give them some credit. They put together a good trailer. It looked really cool. It looked really atmospheric, and yeah, it's a shame to see them drop the ball of it, really. But as you said, at least Call of the Sea is here now, because I've heard nothing but good things about that. So yeah, maybe just direct your attention towards Call of the Sea instead if you want a good game with sea in the title.
Yeah, if you're after the sea, go for the Call.
Yeah.
But away from that, I also put a little bit of time into Morkredd. Now, I know we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, because you did a single player playthrough of it where you manage to force your way through it, essentially. Well, I did this in co-op because I tried to do this in one player, and it practically killed me. It's so hard to do. It's such a misery of a game to play with one person. It's because you control both characters at the same time, and it's like patting your head and rubbing your belly, and it's expecting you to do these really tricky and intricate puzzles, and you just can't because you're constantly thinking about which way your stick's going rather than what you actually need to do. So I did it with my girlfriend, and it's not too bad, to be fair. This is all you're essentially doing here is a series of puzzles where there's a ball of light and you need to move it through the world. And the only objective is don't get caught in the shadow, which is a nice little idea. It's it's almost like the floor is lava but slightly inverted. It's fine for what it is, but it is endlessly frustrating. Like, you will just randomly kill each other without really meaning to, just because you're playing around the puzzle and you're trying to figure out what you need to do. It does have a mercifully kind checkpoint system where it seems to give you a checkpoint all the time. So you're never in any massive danger of losing too much progress.
Yeah.
But even still, it's a little bit frustrating at times.
No,
really atmospheric.
Just a quick one on the checkpoint system. Yeah, that was an absolute necessity, I think, because obviously, like you said, this is a game where there's no, like, if someone steps in the way of the light, or whether if you're playing single player, you're controlling both characters. But if you block the light to one of the characters, there's no, like, they don't lose health. They're just dead. That's it. It's done. So I did appreciate that the checkpoints are essentially after you do literally anything, you will hit another checkpoint. So yeah, that was a good step, because without that, I would have just lost my mind trying to get through this game, especially in single player.
I mean, it is an atmospheric game. It's got this really cool monochrome finish. It does a good sense of scale. It pans out, and you're these really small little figures pushing this tiny ball in this vast cavern of space with these giant monsters just peeking out of little holes in the ground with their massive eyes. And that's kind of cool. I kind of like that. The story is kind of hidden away within that, and it's quite well told in its own little way. I don't mind it. There's elements of the gameplay where I feel it's just weirdly obtuse. There's an entire section towards the end where you're in this fleshy pit, essentially. And I had no idea what I was doing to make pillars and fins move. But for the entirety of the fin, just stuff seemed to be happening, and I didn't know why it was happening for like an hour of my playthrough of this game. And it culminates in what I thought was its best sequence. I know you had a lot of trouble with this in single player.
Yeah.
It essentially finishes where you play a game of football between two tentacles. And it's actually, I thought it was really quite good. It was the first time that the actual co-op nature of it really came to the shine. Before then, you could, I imagine, move one character, move your other character, and slowly make your way through these puzzles. That had to be done at such high pace. I imagine it was a nightmare to try to figure that out in a solo.
Yeah, no, it absolutely was. I remember. So yeah, back on episode 28 when I reviewed this game, I mentioned on that I was reviewing it because I'd finished 95% of it, so I had like 20 minutes left. So I thought, that's enough to review it. Sure, I'll finish the end of it as soon as we finish the show. And then I went to finish it after the show, and I was at this tentacle football section. And that thing is a nightmare in single player because, as you said, you're controlling one with the left stick, one with the right stick on single player. And you have quite a lot to do to make sure you can finish that section. You've got to knock stuff out the way. You've got to pass this ball between the two tentacles. And I must have died about 100 times in single player. Whereas in co-op, I imagine because you can share the responsibilities there, it's probably not that difficult. So yeah, I'm glad to hear it's not too bad in co-op, because I initially was concerned that you just kill each other too much and get really angry about it. So
yeah, I was expecting arguments to start, but on the whole, I think this is a good example of a pretty decent local co-op game. You don't get many of them these days. So for sheer novelty alone, if you've got somebody who you can pass a pad to and actually play through this one, I think Morkredd's worth giving a go for that. But there's elements of frustration here to contend with as well. So maybe make sure you're in a good place first.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. What did you score this one in the end?
I think I scored it a 6 in the end. I didn't mind this. I thought this was pretty decent. Not too bad.
Yeah, no, I went for a 6 as well back on the show a few weeks ago. I think it's a decent time. And as you said, you don't get a lot of these local co-op games coming along. So well worth a go if you're looking for something like that. Yeah, okay then. So I guess I'll quickly run down a few of my non-Game Pass games then that I've been playing. Won't spend too long on these, but as we said, it's nice sometimes when we can take a quick break and play some of the stuff we've missed because we've been too busy playing like 15 new Game Pass games every week. So yeah, so let's see. I have spent most of my time on Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, which is something I was really quite looking forward to for a while and just couldn't find the time for. And yeah, this is a really fun game. I'm enjoying this a lot. I think the original Hyrule Warriors was probably my favorite Dynasty Warriors style game. I think it just had enough personality and enough kind of unique characters in it to push it above the sort of standard Dynasty Warriors type games. And I'm a big Zelda fan, so that helped. But I really think this game's usurped that title now. I just think it's full of a bunch of really cool stuff. I mean, people thought when this got announced that, because like again, a big thing of Dynasty Warriors is that you're meant to have a ton of different characters. They all have different moves, and you know you kind of have fun seeing all the different ways that they can kill 1,000 people. Because that's the point of these games. You're insanely overpowered. There's a battlefield full of complete grunts that barely even attack you, and you just mow through 1,000 of them. And most of the fun is doing that with a variety of different people. So people were concerned when this came out that it might just be like Link and the 4 champions from Breath of the Wild, because this is a Breath of the Wild prequel. Now, that's very much not the case. This game is packed full of extra characters. And I mean, I'm not even going to go over them because I don't want to spoil them, because they're just mad. There's some crazy like stuff in here that you just wouldn't have expected to see. And I know that like on the whole, like the games journalism and stuff, they're all not just saying these out loud to people because it's worth them experiencing them for themselves. But yeah, packed full of amazingly fun, stupid characters. And everyone's got like a really fun spin on the combat in this game, more so than a usual Dynasty Warriors game. So I'll just use the character everyone knows about here for an example. But like, for example, if you're playing as Daruk, who's like the Goron champion guy, the big rock guy, all of his moves like spread lava everywhere, and then you can press the right trigger to blow all that up and stuff like that. So that's kind of unique and cool. You've got Mifa, who's like the Zora, the water champion. She makes like fountains of water when she attacks, and when you press the right trigger, you can warp to one of those and like fly up out of it, and now you're kind of higher up and you can shoot people from there. Zelda does loads of cool stuff with all of the Sheikah powers that you get in Breath of the Wild. So she has like the big bombs and the ice pillars and the kind of stasis powers and stuff, and she can activate all those to attack people. And yeah, it's just, I was really surprised because Dynasty Warriors games, you usually, like I said, it's usually just kind of cosmetic level differences between the characters, really. Like the attacks will look different, but the effect is the same, really. You know, you press the attack button and everyone dies. Whereas I love the extra mechanics in this one. And as I said, as you get into that further down the character list to the people I'm not mentioning, they do even wilder stuff with that sort of similar spin. So yeah, this is just super cool. This is really fun. I can't wait to get more time on this. And yeah, I'd massively recommend it to anyone who even remotely likes the original Hyrule Warriors, or even just Zelda fans in general. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, looking forward to playing that one. Loved Hyrule Warriors. We'll probably pick this up with a game voucher and Super Mario 3D World in February. Nice. I think that's probably the time I'll pick this up.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Okay then, so my last one is just a quick one really, but a bit of a daft one. So I was always a big fan of your kind of peripheral-based music games back when they were a thing. You know, loved a bit of Guitar Hero and Rock Band and stuff like that. And obviously they've just completely fell by the wayside now. And I know it's got the point now where apparently Rock Band sets are starting to cost an obscene amount of money because like people have like broken a lot of the older ones. Like I was listening to a podcast from the US recently where they were saying that like complete Rock Band sets go for about $1,000 on eBay now over there. Like it's just outrageous. But anyway, so you know, very difficult to get your stupid music game plastic peripheral fix these days. But I found a copy of Taiko Drum Master on Nintendo Switch on sale over the last month or so. So this is just a very, very Japanese game full of lots of kind of J-pop and anime theme tunes and stuff. And you just have a big drum, a big plastic drum. And yeah, you're just bashing the left and right sides of this drum to along with the music. And yeah, it's good fun. I mean, I played this in an arcade actually, and it's obviously it's better in the arcade. They have a much bigger, sturdier kind of piece of equipment in there, but it does a pretty good job. I've heard that apparently this is completely not worth your time if you use there's Joy-Con controls where you can pretend each Joy-Con is one of your drumsticks. I've heard that's total trash. So even if you see this on a good sale on the eShop, I think it's been on there for £15 recently, that's not necessarily worth going for because apparently it's just not the same. But if you ever, if you like your kind of music games and you like getting stupid peripherals that are going to, take up a ton of room in your house for no reason, then actually buying the proper version is really fun. So I'm enjoying that. And honestly, the main reason I bought it is something that I haven't got around to yet, but in the last few months, they released 2 more Taiko games for the Nintendo Switch, and they're both RPGs apparently, and you use the drum to fight people, and I'm all about that. I love when people take peripherals and just do stupid stuff like this with them. I remember when the bongos, yeah, when Donkey Kong Jungle Beat came out, a 2D scrolling platformer where you use the bongos. I love that. So I'm very much looking forward to playing stupid drum RPGs at some point in time. But for now, I'm just playing the songs with the drums. And yeah, it's a good time. They are ludicrously loud, though. I would say that they make a racket. I feel bad playing it just for my next door neighbor. I assume he can hear me bashing away on it through the wall. So that might be something to keep in mind, but still it's good fun. And yeah, that's pretty much everything I've been playing over the last few weeks, really. So yeah, let's head back to you then. What non-Game Pass things have you been playing?
Before I let you get away with not telling the people how much you paid for those drums, why don't you tell them just how much, you complete idiot, you actually paid for that peripheral you will barely ever use?
I mean, it was only $69.99. That's an absolute bargain, right? That's really good. I mean, ridiculously, they were out of stock for most of the year, because I used to check every now and then and there was never any stock. And I only look now because there's a stupid RPG you can play. And I was like, oh, well, yep, they're in stock. I'm obviously buying them for £70 apparently. So yeah, here we are. And that's how much we used to all pay for Guitar Hero and stuff, right? It's the same.
I'd give my left hand to get my Donkey Kong bongos. So, what do I know? I'd do the same. Okay, so I'll quickly run through what I played, because I know we're pressing for time. Let's just quickly talk about Sackboy: A Big Adventure, a PS5 launch title, which I'd been putting off, and which I played ahead of Demon's Souls, because of course I did. Why would you? I bought Demon's Souls. I've just left it on a shelf to play Sackboy.
Yeah, even I've done that to Demon's Souls, and I like my Souls games.
Exactly. It's just a cruel reality. This is a perfectly serviceable 3D mascot platformer. It's pretty much exactly what you think it would be. It does nothing particularly special. It does nothing particularly bad. It completely revamps the physics of Little Big Planet, which it needed to do, because that game would not work as an actual proper platformer. So Sackboy controls differently now. He's surprisingly heavy. That's the thing that surprised me. That I thought he'd be quite a floaty character to control, but he's a bit heavier than I expected. And he does a terrible flutter jump. It's no Yoshi. I kept waiting for the proper kick on the flutter, and it just doesn't happen. Terrible flutter jump. But the actual game itself is pretty fun. Loads of cute little characters and little ideas. It's all patchwork in the way of a Kirby, Epic Yarn, or Yoshi's Crafted World. That sort of kind of style to it comes in, as you'd hope, buttons and patchwork everywhere. It's quite cute. Dawn French voices your sensei, essentially, which is quite cool. It's quite nice to see her floating about. And Richard E. Grant's the bad guy, which is even cooler. You've got Withnail just giving you shit in a Sackboy game. Who doesn't love that? That's fantastic.
Pretty great.
But the game itself, it's a massive collectathon, essentially. There's loads of little orbs to collect, loads of different little challenges and missions you can do. You've got to get a load of bubbles to get a high coin total. You've got to beat it without dying. You've got to find the hidden tokens. All the kind of things you'd expect from this genre, which just hasn't changed now for 25 years. This kind of does. The only thing that sets it apart, and the thing I love about it the most is, and I couldn't believe it when it happened, I was just booted up. It was the 4th level of the game. And all of a sudden, all the characters started dancing. I was thinking, I recognize this song. And I couldn't quite put my finger on it. And I kept progressing through the level. And the Uptown Funk was just randomly playing. And all the characters were dancing around in motion to it. All the enemies were moving in beat to Uptown Funk.
Nice.
And it was bloody great. I can't recommend it enough. How much it put a massive grin on my face to have Sackboy. just dancing through this world to Uptown Funk, and loads of licensed music just crops up throughout the game. Some of it remixed completely, some of it's just basically a poor man's cover version. But it's all there, and it's kind of fun. It's kind of different. I didn't expect it. That's the main thing. Everything about this game I expected, but I didn't expect that. Yeah. And it's a lot of fun. The soundtrack to Sackboy, and I didn't think I'd say that. The soundtrack to Sackboy, A Big Adventure, is probably the reason you should play it. It's a bizarre praise, which I never expected to give. But yeah, that soundtrack is great. And the platforming is good enough to be worth your time. So yeah, this is actually a pretty fun experience. I'd recommend people give this a go if they love the platformers like I do.
Ah, good stuff. It's something I definitely want to get around to. I went from being completely disinterested because I've never cared for Little Big Planet. I don't like games where the players need to create the game. It just doesn't interest me. Like I want to play games that are made by developers. It might be because I want to be able to complete games. That's why we have a stupid challenge to beat all of Game Pass, and you can't really beat a game that's user generated. So anyway, yeah, wasn't really interested, but I'm really coming around on this now. I'm definitely gonna have to find some time for this at some point. It does look quite fun.
It's a good game. Shout out to the team at Sumo Digital as well. They always make good games, and yet they're always just relegated to just never ever spoken about. So yeah, shout out to them. They're a really good development studio. But the other game I pretty much dedicated my entire Christmas to is one of the big PS4 tentpole releases of last year, which is Ghost of Tsushima. Now, I was hesitant about this game because although I loved the way it looked and the game is gorgeous in motion, it's probably better looking than most launch titles on the actual next-gen consoles, especially when it gives it that 60 FPS upgrade, which they did do recently. It just plays silky smooth, really good game to play on the new PS5. But I did fear that this was just going to be a Ubisoft game.
Yeah, I had a feeling that you would struggle with it, is what I thought. But
yeah, this is the main thing. I thought this is going to be Ubisoft. I'm just going to be ticking off base camps and, collecting a lot of crap and destroying towers. And I kind of do a lot of that. A lot of that is in the game. You do destroy enemy camps. You do climb shrines with these tiny little platforming sections, which don't have much to them. You're just pointing in one direction and pressing go. But I think the thing that makes it work for me, and it may only be able to play this trick on me once, is that there's a real charm to it. Like a lot of the game, not just the tedious way that most open worlds are. This game is stunning. The location itself is just beautiful. If there's a constant wind blowing, just all the time, it's just constantly in motion. It just looks better than any place you'll ever visit in your life, which maybe helps. It's just a joy to just look at it, just stand and look at it. But it kind of embraces that. It'll have you discover fox dens and you chase a fox to go find a little shrine which you clap to, which if I'm going to be going around a map collecting shrines, let me chase a fox. Why not? That's a nice idea. That's cute. That's different. I like that. It has little spots where you compose haikus. I love that. What a nice little idea to just stop, slow down the game and say, yeah, you're just going to think about what you've got to reflect on something and then compose this little haiku out of a few different options. You get a headband at the end of it. I think that's really sweet. That's quite unique. It's not what you'd usually do. It has a lot more soul to it than the typical open world game, which is usually quite soulless. That's usually my problem with it. It doesn't have any actual heart or feeling within the worlds. These massive worlds they create feel empty. Whereas Ghost of Tsushima actually feels like a real place which actual people inhabit. And that's not an easy trick to play. That's a tough trick to do because all the tenants which I dislike are there, and yet they don't bother me. Probably helped because the combat's great. Swordplay's really satisfying in this game, and the stealth's pretty good as well, but you don't want to get into stealth battles. You just want to scream in and just slash people up because it's real fun to do. Nice. Really good. You got one-on-one duels, which are just like a Kurosawa movie. I mean, who doesn't want that? There's a Kurosawa mode where you can literally turn it black and white and it feels like you're playing a 50s Japanese samurai flick. Who wouldn't love that? Complete with screen tears and pops. There's a lot going on here. There's a lot of love in the title. And I think that's why it works. Will that work again? I don't know. This might just be I love this once and I may never get into it once again. But I've really enjoyed my time with Ghost of Tsushima and I expect I'll actually 100% it, which I did not expect to do. I thought I'd just beat the main story, which is good, well-written story, but I didn't think I'd actually get into this game like I did.
No, that's really cool to hear. I mean, as we've said many a time, Ubisoft games are very much your enemy. So like I didn't think you'd even get around to giving this one a try, really. But hearing that it actually feels like a real place is probably the main thing that is getting me interested in it, because as you said, that's always the main struggle with these huge open world games, is that they just feel a bit lifelessly put together. It just feels like the world's kind of empty and everything's almost been generated like automatically rather than with any real care. So I'm very much on board with giving this a go. If it does, actually feel like a really kind of smartly curated, put together world, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's a good time. It's a good time. Well worth playing. But yeah, that's pretty much me done for my festive gaming as well as you.
Yeah, back to back to the old Game Pass slog for us now for
back to
the foreseeable future. Lovely.
Get me on that Sword Art.
All right, then. So to close out the show, we are taking a look at pretty much everything we know so far that is confirmed to be coming to Game Pass over 2021. And then we'll do a quick rundown of the stuff that will be most likely beyond 2021 as well. So let's open that up with then. There's a few games here that are a bit strange, actually, because these are games that were confirmed to come to Game Pass in 2020. And it just didn't happen. It just wasn't a thing that happened. So a few of these then, first of all, is a big pile of Final Fantasy, which if we go back to last year, it was announced that pretty much all the Final Fantasy was coming to Game Pass, which is obviously a move that terrified us to our very cause, because that's just about 1,000 hours of game. Now, quite a few of these haven't shown up yet, so we're still missing Final Fantasy X and X-2, Final Fantasy 12, the Zodiac Age, the remake they did of that, and then the big Final Fantasy 13 trilogy, so 13, 13-2, and 13 Lightning Returns. So yeah, these were all confirmed to be 2020. They've not come out yet. There's been no word on them really, but I wouldn't necessarily worry if you're looking forward to these games coming. I think they're just trying to just section them out over time. They've already added Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9 last year. Final Fantasy 15 as well was added last year. So there's clearly an ongoing relationship with Square there that's going on. So I just think they're just spacing them out a bit. I expect we'll see more of these come in over the next few months. And then the other game that was confirmed for 2020 but isn't out yet was Skatebird, which is a really fun looking little indie game where you just a bird on a skateboard going around a 3D park. Now that game isn't actually out yet, so that makes a lot more sense. That's just still in progress, so I'm sure that will still be a day one Game Pass game when it comes out.
Yeah, can't wait for Skatebird. Skatebird looks cool. I think that game perhaps ran scared from the Tony Hawk's remaster. Yeah. And rightly so. It needs to put a bit of distance between itself and that. Because when it was announced, it was scratching an itch because there was nothing like it. And then they just went and remastered the best skateboarding games of all time. So I can kind of see why they maybe think, even if it didn't need more time in the oven, which I'm sure it did, I still think it's a wise idea to just put a bit of open water between that and the THPS remakes.
No, I definitely agree with that. Is there any of the Final Fantasy games there that you're looking forward to, Josh, or are they all just equally horrifying?
I'm looking forward to playing all the Final Fantasy games. I bought 10 for my Vita, so I'm going to play that handheld. I'm going to have a good time with that. I imagine what they will do with these is they'll drop them in series chunks. So I imagine when 10 comes, 10-2 will come with it.
Yeah.
And 13 will come with 13-2 and Lightning Returns. So I think it'll be 3 big drops, 10, 12, and 13. But I think we'll probably have them all by June. Probably by June, we should have a lot of them.
Yeah, that sounds about right to me. I'm actually, it might be my longest running active save file in a game ever, but I'm technically in progress on Final Fantasy 13 from when I bought it at launch. So like once every year or so, I jump back onto Final Fantasy 13 and grind out about 2 hours of it and then put it away for another year. So I've got this save file that just looks ridiculous because it's in 2015 I've done 40 hours of the game, and then 2017 I've done 42 hours, 2018 I've done 43, and it's getting there. We're getting through it. I'm in the last couple of chapters, so of course, every time I have to read up the entire synopsis of the story again, which is probably taking more time than the time I then spend on the game. But nonetheless, it's fine. I'm actually really looking forward to playing 13 Lightning Returns. That's a really weird little unique game. It's got these kind of weird time mechanics. I think everything's against the clock and you've got like a limited amount of time to fix whatever the hell's happened to the world of Final Fantasy 13 by that point. Who really knows? I played a demo of that and I actually really enjoyed the demo, but obviously you don't want to jump into that without playing the rest of the mini series of 13 games. So yeah, at some point we will have to get round to that. But yeah, rolling on then into January. So we've got a few games here that have already announced for January. There'll obviously be more. I'm expecting a pretty big drop over the next week where they'll tell us exactly what we're going to be getting. But for the time being, we've got Killer Queen Black coming in on the 5th of January. Got Cyber Shadow on the 26th for January, got the Medium on the 28th for January, and then you've got Yakuza 3, 4, and 5 coming in on the 28th of January. Big heap of Yakuza there.
Yeah, absolutely. I played Yakuza 3 over Christmas because I knew the drop was incoming, and I'm continuing my slow crawl through the series. So I'll give my thoughts on the third one come the end of the month. But yeah, those games are great. One little game which will go overlooked, but Killer Queen Black is great. Killer Queen Black is one of the best multiplayer games you can ever play. Yeah. Like, super underrated game. This is real good. I'm kind of annoyed at more people. It's the worst time for it to come out. You want people around and playing that game. It's so much fun in local co-op and local multiplayer. But yeah, that's a top tier title. I can't wait to give that another look.
No, I agree. I've not got to spend much time with Killer Queen Black, but I've always heard it mentioned amongst like the best multiplayer games you can play. And you know, it's apparently fair, you know, good to play online as well. So always great when games like this come to Game Pass because there's just a giant influx of players. So, you know, hopefully that'll be good for people who are fans of that game because it did come out on Switch last year, I believe. And from what I've heard, the community fizzled out pretty fast because the Switch just isn't a platform for people looking to play online games that often outside of, you know, Mario Kart pretty much. So it's, it's really good to see this coming into Game Pass. I do think that'll help it a lot. And yeah, I mean, obviously, as you said, these are all January, so we'll be talking about them soon. But I'm very excited for the Medium. I think the Medium looks really, really cool. Bloober Team, pretty much the best studio out there right now for just consistently making good, like, spooky games. Like, it's their whole niche at this point. They always, you know, they take it to a variety of different settings. You've got like cyberpunk stuff with Observer, and you've got Blair Witch, which is obviously kind of, you know, found footage spookiness. Great dog in that game as well. And and then, you know, Medium with this kind of cool two worlds mechanic where you're kind of controlling the character in two different worlds at the same time. I'm really, really intrigued by this. I hope it comes out good because I'm definitely looking forward to playing that one at the end of the month.
And of course, that's the first ever Xbox Series exclusive game.
Yeah,
it's not coming to Xbox One, so that's a strange achievement to have 3 months after the console's launched. Nonetheless, yeah. I hope this is good because Bloober Team have been very good at making good but not great games. I hope they finally make the step to make something really decent. I'm really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Okay, so rolling on to March, we'll obviously just brush past this one, but March 25th, that is Yakuza 6. So again, even more Yakuza. At that point, you'll have all of Yakuza in Game Pass except for the very latest game, Yakuza 7, and also Judgment, which is kind of a strange spin-offy game, but that's not even on Xbox yet, so might be a while waiting for that one. But nonetheless, just, yeah, even more Yakuza, always a good thing. At this point, we're rolling into summer 2021 for the next announced date, and that is for Microsoft Flight Simulator, which looks fantastic. I've been meaning to give this a go on my PC for ages, but at this point, I'm probably just going to wait for the console release. I'm really looking forward to taking a look at this. From what I can see, the way they've managed to genuinely replicate the entire Earth is probably the most groundbreaking thing to come from gaming in the last few years. Easily, it's absolutely insane what they managed to achieve there, and I just think it's going to be great for people to be able to just, you know, casually fly around the entire actual Earth. That's pretty cool, right?
I refuse to play this until they release the Hindenburg DLC, which I've been calling for pretty much from launch. So once that's out, I'll buy it, I'll play it, but until then, it's not for me. I want that Hindenburg.
every time we talk about Flight Simulator, you just want to crash things. It's just
That's all I want to do.
so destructive. You can't just enjoy a nice flight around the world. Honestly.
Can't it just be a destructive sandbox? I'd much rather play that version of Flight Simulator.
Maybe they'll get Criterion in to do a good crash mode down the line.
God,
for now, it's just lovely, relaxing flying. Okay, then let's roll on to the kind of fall 2021 releases. So there's a couple of games placed in here at the moment. We've got the Gunk in September. I'm really quite looking forward to the Gunk. This looks really cool. And then we've also got Halo Infinite, which at the moment they've just said fall 2021. Now, a lot of the speculation here is that the 15th of November is actually the 20th anniversary of the original Halo Combat Evolved. So that seems like a pretty nailed on date to be bringing out Halo Infinite to me. You know, I don't see why you would skip on that anniversary at this point. You might as well get out around that time. So yeah, a couple of good games here. What are your thoughts on these two?
I'm looking forward to the Gunk. That's done by the SteamWorld guys, right? And they don't make bad games. They always make good games. So I expect the Gunk will be a decent time. Halo Infinite will never come out. That's got some serious Duke Nukem Forever about it, even down to the Forever Infinite thing. I think whenever you put that sort of thing in it, it's just a gift for people to go, well, it's going to be delayed infinitely at this point. So, I don't know. Maybe it'll never turn up.
I'm really excited for Halo Infinite. I think it's going to be fantastic. Like I mean, then again, I thought it looked great in the initial gameplay reveal. I know the graphics weren't up to scratch, but the actual, FPS gameplay looked pretty fantastic. And
fantastic's a strong word.
I don't know. I think
it looked like an FPS.
I think it looked like Halo, and that's what you want from it, And
yeah.
I don't know, just because there's a brute that looks like he's from the original Xbox. Like I don't know. I think a lot of stuff got blown out of proportion on that one, but I'm confident this will be a really good time. I'm quite excited for it, and as you said, the Gunk looks great. This is like just the team doing those awesome SteamWorld games, who have realistically never made a bad game, just making a big 3D. Weird kind of Luigi's Mansion-y thing. Like it's all about sucking up some gunk to save a planet. Like that's right up my street. That sounds like great fun. So very much looking forward to that. Okay, then. So next up, we've got a bunch of games here that are all but confirmed for 2021, but there's not been any dates given. So we just chunked them in a big 2021 section. So in here, we've got Among Us, which is due pretty soon by the sounds of it. As Dusk Falls, Bright Memory Infinite, Crossfire X, Gang Beasts, which is also probably due soon because they initially announced that for December and then pulled it and said it would be out next year. So probably pretty soon. Psychonauts 2 and Scorn. So, good few games in here. Is there any that stand out to you in particular?
The Psychonauts 2 is going to be great. That just has to be great. Like, I'm really hyped for that. That's probably my most anticipated Xbox game of the year. Can't think of much more I'm excited for. Scorn had that cool trailer, but it always felt a bit vaporware to me.
I actually totally agree with you on Scorn. And then I was doing some research on it this week ahead of the show, and there was a gameplay trailer that snuck out in October that I completely missed.
Oh wow!
And it looks real good. I mean, the game looks stunning for one. I mean, it's obviously completely grotesque, but it looks like a real graphical showcase. And it's also a lot more first-person shootery than I expected. Like, it's first person. You've got your gun that looks like it's made of some kind of horrible fleshy thing. There's a bunch of horrible monsters going around. And there's like a 18-minute gameplay trailer out there. So give that a look after the show. It actually does look really quite impressive. So I'm excited for that. Psychonauts 2 has got to be great, right? I mean, really excited about that one. I just love how there's been a few interviews with Tim Schafer, the creator of Psychonauts, on this, and obviously they got acquired by Microsoft now, and he was just saying that like it's been a godsend because realistically they kind of had stuff on a board where they were like, right, what can we cut from Psychonauts 2 and it's still be like an okay game? And then because they had no money left basically, and then he said now they've got money, they've got time, like realistically this game would have came out in a pretty, they wouldn't have been happy with what they released, but it would have had to come out by now if they didn't get that funding. And instead they've got the time to just make this everything they wanted it to be from the start. So that's what I like to hear. That's great. I love my 3D platformers, and that great kind of Psychonauts hook of like doing that inside people's minds is just genius. So that's going to be really cool. And I think as well, like not Bright Memory Infinite, sorry, Crossfire X is
Yeah,
something that
screw
will
Bright
be,
Memory Infinite.
yeah, go
God,
screw
screw
yourself.
that game. Just that
No,
one guy.
in fairness, yeah,
Just tease him there, saying you're going to give him a recommendation. They go,
yeah,
oh, no, not that.
take that away. Now, to be fair, Bright Memory, that game looks mad for something that one guy made. Like I obviously I make games for my job, and seeing what he can do on his own makes me feel completely inadequate. So, so well done to that guy. He's clearly awesome. But yeah, Crossfire X. This is one of those things that like I don't think many people have interest in over here because Crossfire is just not that big in like North America and Europe and stuff. But this game is just the most gigantic thing in the world, basically, when it comes to its support in Asia. Like, I was looking up some stats, and apparently the Crossfire series is the most played video game series of all time in the world. It's got like over 1 billion players have played it. It's in the top 10 for highest grossing video game series. It's above things like FIFA, GTA, Warcraft, Final Fantasy. Like, Crossfire is real big. It's real huge. And this is made by Remedy. So that's kind of fantastic. Like I'm all about Remedy, making an FPS. I love Remedy games, Alan Wake, Control. They make great stuff. So, and yeah, because Crossfire is so big elsewhere, this will kind of have to be good. You know what I mean? Like it can't just be a rushed FPS campaign made to accompany it. It's got to be something pretty good. So I think that's going to surprise a lot of people when it comes out. I think it's going to be really impressive.
Yeah, that's a really fun Game Pass game as well.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing I probably would be reticent to spend money on, but to give a quick 5-6 hour campaign a blast through made by Remedy on Game Pass, yeah, please give me that. Yeah. I might even give Among Us a go because apparently people like that game.
I mean,
it's huge.
Yeah, it's absolutely the biggest thing of last year. But I mean, it looked like it was going to be Fall Guys for a while, and then Among Us just completely just stole their lunch. And yeah, I mean, Among Us looks like a great time. I think my problem is that I'm just miserable. So it's kind of, it looks like a game about playing, with a group of your friends and just having a really good time. And I'm probably going to be too busy playing things like Black on Game Pass to have a lot of time for fun. So
you don't want to have a good time.
No, God, no, not fun. I mean, you can't complete Among Us, so it won't even be worth a completion on the sheet challenge.
It doesn't even count anyway, so we'll just ignore it.
Waste of time. But nonetheless, really cool to get it added to Game Pass. I'm sure a lot of people love it. But anyway, so let's roll on a bit then. I've got a couple of games here listed as 2022 because that's pretty much when they're going to have to come out. And these are the two games that are timed exclusive on PS5, but are now owned by Microsoft because of the Bethesda buy. So we have Deathloop here and Ghostwire Tokyo. So yeah, these are both, well, we know that Deathloop has a 1-year exclusivity, and I would assume Ghostwire has the same because, it's a deal between Sony and the same company for 2 games. You would assume they'd have the same conditions. So yeah, despite the fact that Deathloop is out in May currently on the PS5 and Ghostwire is just listed for 2021, you're not going to get these till 2022 on Xbox, but you will, of course, get them for free in Game Pass. So, yeah, they've got their ups and downs here. Now, where do you stand on these? Do you see yourself waiting for either of them, or do you think you'll just play them on PS5 and then have the nice free completion on the sheet when they actually arrive on Xbox?
I'll almost certainly buy both these games.
Yeah,
I really want to play Deathloop, and I love the work that Tango Gameworks does. So I'll almost certainly buy Ghostwire. So yeah. It's just a gimme, really. I'll probably buy, whether I'll play them or not, it's a different matter, but I'll probably own them by the time they're added for free, and then I'll play them.
Yeah. I mean, I to be honest, I originally thought Deathloop was a 6-month exclusive window, and I was still going to buy it on PS5. When I found out it was a year, I was like, there is no way that I am waiting a year to play that game. I love the work Arcane have done on Dishonored and Prey. And yeah, I'm not going to wait a year to play their next game. And as you said, yeah, Ghostwire Tokyo, developers of Evil Within, so they've got a good history as well, good backlog. And yeah, these are great games to have in Microsoft's backlog at this point. I know it's going to be weird seeing them out on PS5 for a year, but you will get them for free in Game Pass down the line. So if you can wait, then by all means, you definitely should. There's no arguing with getting those kinds of games for free. But yeah, so let's move on then. Just a quick rundown here of games that aren't dated but have been announced. A lot of these are probably a long way away, but we'll do a quick.
let's predict which ones will actually, if any of these will come out this year. Just in a word, yes or no, will it come out in 2021 as you run through them?
Okay, yeah, let's do that. Right then, I'll start off with Avowed. No.
Nah, it's not coming out.
Everwild. No.
No, it's not coming out.
Elder Scrolls 6, not a chance.
Absolutely no chance.
Fable. No,
it's not coming out.
Forza Motorsport. Maybe holiday 2021. I could see for that one. That one has
potential.
A chance.
Yeah, potential.
Perfect Dark. No.
No.
Project Mara. Definitely no.
No chance.
Senua's Saga Hellblade 2. That's a maybe. That's a maybe.
Unfortunately, yeah, I think that will come out this year. I can't wait to not play that.
Stalker 2.
Yeah, I think that'll come out this year.
Probably come out. Like that's been in the making for a lot of time, and they've only just chosen to show a trailer. So I feel like they wouldn't have done that if it wasn't coming soon. Starfield is an obvious no.
Yeah, it never come out. That's vaporware. That ain't going out.
State of Decay 3, I think is a no as well. I think that's going to be 2022.
Yeah, maybe for that one.
I almost hope that is 2022 because State of Decay is a series that's never quite reached the potential it has. I don't want them to rush this one. Like they were still working on DLC for State of Decay 2 last year, and I just don't know. I'd rather this spent a bit more time in the oven, to be honest, but we'll see. Maybe it's further along than we think.
We'll see.
And last one I've got listed here is Warhammer 40k Dark Tide, which I don't know. Yes, I know nothing about it. Let's just say yes. So,
sounds about right.
Big bunch of games there that will be out at some point. And then we've also I've got a quick list here of just some of the studios we don't know anything about what they're working on right now, because I thought, might as well run them down too. So you've got Machine Games, who make Wolfenstein. They haven't announced what they're on next. It's probably more Wolfenstein, which will be great. So that'll be a good time. You've got the Coalition, who undoubtedly are making Gears 6, but again, hasn't been announced. You've got In Exile, who they make the Wasteland series and Bard's Tale. They only just released a Wasteland game last year, so they'll probably be working on something for a good while before we see anything from them. But
take a long break, guys. Take a really long break.
They make great games, but I don't need more Wasteland or Bard's Tale in Game Pass for us, because
they don't make games for us.
No, they very much
other people.
Very much don't. And then you've got Compulsion Games, who they made We Happy Few, which was very rough around the edges, but I actually think they're a pretty talented studio. I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do now that they've got the stability of being acquired by Microsoft, and they've got kind of a steady flow of money. They're not under any rush to get something out the door now. Like, I could see them doing some good stuff. We Happy Few had a ton of promise. It seemed like the original trailer was it seemed so creative and clever, and they just didn't quite get to that level with the release. So yeah, we'll see what they do. And then you've also kind of got Mojang, but who knows with Mojang at this point? Are they just doing, are they just supporting Minecraft? There's kind of that weird Minecraft Earth thing that got announced at some point. God knows what that is. Yeah, and then there's still Minecraft Dungeons that they're supporting. So, doubt we're going to see a Minecraft 2 anytime soon, but nonetheless, they are in the list of Microsoft studios as well. So, yeah, I think there's quite a lot there in total when you look down that list. Obviously, we'll get a heap more Game Pass games than what we've covered there, but even just looking at the kind of big Microsoft Game Studio stuff that's coming up, I think things are starting to turn around. There's actually starting to be a good list of pretty cool stuff there.
Yeah, some good stuff coming this year. Looking forward to playing them and sharing our thoughts on them right here as soon as we can.
Absolutely. That sounds good to me. So with that then, that is the end of the show this week. We often do some news, but obviously everyone's pretty much took 2 weeks off from doing anything newsworthy at the moment. So there's not a lot to go on. But yeah, so until next time, if you want to catch us on social media, you can find us at Beat the Sheet on Twitter. If you want to drop us an email with any feedback or thoughts, you can find us at beatthesheetpodcast@gmail.com. So until next time, I am Andy Wood, and I've now completed 62% of the sheet. Picked up a bit of progress there over the Christmas break.
And my name is Josh Stevenson, and I've got up to 51% of the sheet.
Nice.
It's not huge work, but we're making it. We're making it happen.
We're getting there. We're recovering from the EA player catastrophe of November. So that's nice. Anyway, yeah, thanks a lot for listening, everyone, and we'll be back again next week.
Goodbye.